Electric vehicles, which are very quiet, make a lot of noise when it comes to media coverage, but even with record sales in 2018, EVs make up just over 2% of vehicle sales worldwide, and that's lumping in plug-in hybrids with them. One reason people are wary of battery-powered cars? Range, of course. Nissan is hoping the new Plus version of its Leaf will juice sales. The EPA figures it can cover up to 226 miles on a single charge. That's a solid improvement over the 150-mile rated range of the standard Leaf, which is still available, but not quite as good as Chevy Bolt, Kia Soul EV, Hyundai Kona EV, or Tesla Model 3. But range is not the only thing to consider when looking at an electric vehicle. There's availability, of course. Hyundai Kona plus Kia Soul and Niro EV are only easily available in a dozen or so states, though check about special ordering. Leaf is a 50-state car. As far as price, a base Leaf Plus retails for $37,445, but drops depending on federal and state tax incentives, plus your showroom negotiating skills. This top trim SL stickers for $43,400. It adds leather interior, Bose sound, the kind of camera system that keeps your fenders dent-free, and Nissan's excellent semi-autonomous ProPilot Assist system. What gets people's attention is extra battery capacity. The lithium-ion pack mounted under your Nikes is 62 kilowatt-hours versus 40 for the standard Leaf. Physically, it isn't tremendously larger. The pack on the Plus remains passively air-cooled. I've talked to Nissan engineers, and they claim that it doesn't need liquid cooling. And to back that up, there's an 8-year, 100,000-mile warranty, whichever comes first. Using 220-volt Level 2 home charging, a full juice job takes about 11 hours. Plus gets a standard 100-kilowatt quick charge port that provides an 80% charge in 45 minutes at commercial stations. Now, Plus doesn't mean just a bigger battery, it also delivers more power, something we can all get behind. The 160 kilowatt unit produces 214 horsepower, that's up 45% over the standard Leaf. Torque is rated at 250 pound-feet. This joystick nub is how you'll change directions. There's really no transmission. Selecting drive twice puts it into a stronger power regeneration mode. The E-pedal substantially increases the electric motor's drag and regen, so the physical brakes can be used much less and theoretically last much longer. All right, bigger motor. Always a win. A standard Leaf shoots from rest to 60 miles an hour in about 7.5 seconds. The Plus shaves a second off that. So numbers aside, the deep, rich torque off the line make this car a lot of fun to drive. That's electric cars. And with no engine noise, Leaf is quiet, even at highway speeds. Not much sound coming from the suspension or tires either. Nobody wants to go back to high school, but let's revisit Physics 101, shall we? A low center of gravity in a car makes it more stable, and since the batteries are heavy and in the floor, this can be a hoot to throw into a corner. It's not like Leaf drives like a Volkswagen GTI. The steering lacks sharpness, and tires are more for efficiency. They give up grip, but this front driver feels frisky. Another advantage to more power is that passing from 50 miles an hour to 75 miles an hour is much easier to do now. You won't have white knuckles. Let's talk about range. It was on the cool side when I tested Leaf. Remember, it's rated just a skosh under Bolt, Kona, and Soul at 226 miles. However, fancier SV and SL models are rated at 215 miles. When I first picked it up, the Nissan greeted me with this number.
I would say that, right off the bat, that's a little optimistic.
And it was. Part was due to weather. For the week, the temperature averaged in the low 50s. That drops efficiency. For my friends in Duluth, understand that Arctic temperatures affect the range. So does using any kind of accessory.
So the one thing about electric cars is that everything that's electrical, including the heater, takes up energy. And Martin here wants to be warm while I'm setting up the GoPro, so we're burning off range.
Ultimately, driving like a normal person in cool weather and a combination of city and highway conditions, I traveled about 185 miles before needing to plug the Leaf in. In fairness, I leave cars on for hours while I'm photographing them to show exterior lights and interior gauges, so I'll tack on another 5 miles for a total of 190.
Let's engage the e-pedal. I've taken my foot off the throttle. This is a pretty level surface, and as you can see, the car comes to a complete stop pretty quickly. It's very aggressive. Now, Nissan retuned this system for the Plus because of the extra power and the extra weight. It seems more aggressive now.
Transitioning from regeneration to physical brakes is smooth. An algorithm applies the physical brakes to simulate regen when the battery is fully charged and has nowhere to send the power. That way, the driving dynamic is always the same and doesn't surprise the driver.
Let's talk about semi-autonomous driving features for a second. ProPilot Assist is one of the best systems that I have ever used. The lane keep assist out on the highway doesn't ping pong back and forth between the lane markers, and the adaptive cruise control is very smooth. It'll come right down to a complete stop, and to restart, you just nudge the throttle a little bit. It's worth buying. It is optional.
There's little to no difference between the standard Leaf and the Plus when it comes to the cockpit. Considering the $43,000 retail price, comments about hard materials having a budget vibe are inevitable. Keep in mind batteries are expensive, and Bolt, Kona, Nero, and Soul aren't much, if any, better. The steering wheel is not adjustable for reach, at least it's heated, and the driver gets a powered chair. The passenger side does not. All the storage nooks found on most vehicles, and a few that aren't, are in the Leaf. You won't be shoving iPads into the center console, that's for sure. The controls with large buttons are simple to understand. The user interface is basic and straightforward. The Navi system will easily locate the nearest charging station if you're in uncharted territory and need a quick boost. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are standard, and remote connection via Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant is available.
Question for you, does riding in an EV make you feel all warm and fuzzy about reducing your carbon footprint? I'm the evil twin. I could care less about stuff like that. I'm all about backseat comfort. The seat cushions are a bit on the high side, meaning visibility is good, though you do have to kind of duck getting in and out. I'm 5'9". I have just enough headroom. Footroom, not so great. Must be the battery pack. The middle position is raised, but I can still sit here and not hit my head on the ceiling.
This lump discourages anyone from sitting there, though, but it can happen in a pinch. Drinks can be stashed, but a long cord to the front is required for charging phones. If it's a deal breaker, no sunroof is available. In short, 2 average-sized adults will be good to go in the rear quarters. I wouldn't push it past that on a regular basis.
No power tailgate, and that's okay. For starters, it would be just one more thing to eat up the battery, and secondly, they can be terribly slow. Closed, open, very quick.
The lip is on the high side, the floor is low. A couple things here. The subwoofer is the price you'll pay for better thump from your tunes. Max out the cargo capacity, and it's a pretty large space that carries a lot of gear. It's far from even. An optional load floor flattens things out and creates a hidden space if the enormous lip bothers you too much. The trunk is deceptively large. While it looks like my measurement metric is overloading the cargo hold, the shape of the tailgate allows this to happen. The score of 8 packs is excellent for a car this size. I'll point out that charging every evening means Leaf can easily cover some 70,000 miles annually. That's probably more than you drive. And plugging in takes 10 seconds tops. That's less time than just futzing with the gas station credit card reader. And your hands don't get smelly. Just over 80% of all EV charging is done at home. It's convenient and it can happen while you sleep. Now, when I'm on the road, I have accounts with Blink, EVgo, and ChargePoint. I've never had a problem finding a station, but it does take time. All electric cars, for now, charge slowly compared to fueling gas-powered vehicles. That's really only an issue on long trips. You will have to figure out if your driving lifestyle demands long-distance charging infrastructure on a regular basis. A bonus, it's generally accepted that EVs require much less maintenance since they have far fewer moving parts and don't require oil changes.
Here in the Pacific Northwest, there are an awful lot of electric cars. Why, look, it's a Tesla Model 3. I've seen a number in this neighborhood. Among the other Tesla models, Leafs, Volts, we do like our electric cars in this neck of the woods. For example, check this out. There's an I-Pace. See what I mean?
A little evangelizing here. I believe all of the cars in Leaf's segment have been marketed the wrong way. Yes, this is a zero-emissions car, and that's great, but EVs with more than 200 miles of range are more than that. In many ways, they can simplify lives and improve the driving experience. The extra power and range of the Leaf Plus should fill most people's needs, and then some. It's a no-excuses electric car for the masses, and unlike just a few years ago, one of many choices. All right, to beat a dead horse, many people that could really benefit from an EV aren't considering them. I can say with certainty that friends and family that have experienced them for a few days completely get it, and few who buy one ever want to go back to gasoline. I understand, it's a leap, but give it a try if you have the chance. Finally, a lot of smart people feel the need to predict the future. Oftentimes they say the internal combustion engine car is dead and all cars will be electric in the near future. Well, dear smart people, I think that's very short-sighted. I want to protect the environment as much as the next guy. Climate change is very real, but the reality is EVs aren't for everyone. Many people, especially urban dwellers, have no place to charge them. In their current state, no pun intended, they aren't practical for those who drive long distances on a regular basis. And in the snow belt, where frigid temperatures drop the range, they can be downright dangerous if they lose enough mileage to strand drivers in Arctic conditions. Personally, I think there will be a mix for decades to come. And then there's hydrogen.
As always, hope you got something out of my look at the new Nissan Leaf Plus. Now, if for some reason this kind of range still makes you nervous, and it really shouldn't, I highly suggest looking at a plug-in hybrid. Both my wife and I drive them. I have a Cadillac ELR, she has a Chevy Volt. On a day-to-day basis, we never use the gasoline side of those vehicles, but if we want to go from here to Portland and back on the same day, we don't have to worry about charging. We just switch to gas. It's a really, really good way of going electric. I highly recommend it. That's Driven. I'm Tom Voelk.